Hey guys, Peter here. So this is just going to be a video, a continuation of our chords from the last time. Now, we did major, minor, and seventh. So major seventh, dominant seventh, and then minor seventh chords. Today we're going to talk about inversions, and then we're going to kind of mess around with a little bit of a chord progression to help understand why we use inversions. Okay. If you haven't done so, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the little notification bell, make sure you get all the notifications that I've released a new video, and also make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Okay, let's get started. So, hopefully you've seen the video. I talk about how to construct all these chords. Today we're not going to go over that. I'm just going to call out the chords and then we're going to talk about the inversions. So the first chord we're going to start with is just our basic C chord. Okay. And we're going to go over all the inversions. And so what is an inversion? An inversion is basically when you take a chord like a C chord, C, E, and G, and you play it in a different order. Okay, for example, if I take a C chord, my C, E, and G, and I put it into a different order, what if I took C and I moved it up to the top? Now I still have the notes C, E, and G. Now they're just in a different order. And sometimes I ask students of mine, hey, what chord am I playing right now? And they see that my thumb is on the bottom note is an E, and so they just automatically assume it's some sort of E chord. Well, no. The way that we define the chord is based on everything being in skips. So you have to kind of put all these into skips and know where what we call root position is. From C, our root position is based on the skips, C, E, and G. Now that's a little bit harder to find, so when you start getting comfortable with learning all the chords, start everything from that position where we did it with the counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and then from there work on your inversions. So we're going to take our C, move it up to the top, C, E, and G, and here's a type of inversion of our C chord. Okay? Notice this is not skips, right? There's two notes in between G and C, and that's an indicator that we're not in what we call root position, which is why this is not some sort of E chord. Okay, let's go ahead and move it up again. We're going to do another inversion of it. All I did was took E from here at the bottom and moved it up to the top. Now I have C, E, and G in this way. Another form of C, inversion of C. Taking it up, move it one more time, and now we're back to C the way that we are used to when we counted our way to find each chord. Okay, and this is back to what we consider root position. Let's do that again. C, I can move up C, and then I can move up E, and then I can move up G, and I'm back to the beginning. Now, one way to practice this is when you start going through these and you learn all these different chords, practice the inversions from the beginning. And one way we can do it to get comfortable is literally just do exactly what I did. Move it up. And once you get kind of comfortable on knowing where they are, and you don't have to hold that down and move them. Once you get comfortable, a little exercise that you can do is actually just playing through the inversions, and I recommend doing this for 2 octaves. Okay, this is going to go kind of fast, so if this doesn't make sense, just stop and practice your inversions first before trying something like this. All we're going to do is play through the inversions. Root position, moving up C, moving up E, moving up G. But we're going to do this for 2 octaves. So again, and then back down. And now we're back to our root position. I really recommend practicing. It's going to help you get kind of the hand shape for each inversion that we do. It'll help get you that hand position shape, and knowing these inversions like that is going to be very important when we start doing chord progressions, or when you start doing chord progressions on your own at home. You want to be able to recognize these inversions from wherever, because we're gonna use these inversions to keep everything nice and close, and we'll see that a little bit later. Let's go and take another chord. let's keep it kind of simple for now. We're going to take a G major chord, okay, G, B, and D, and now we're going to move that into inversion. So we're going to take our bottom note, move it up to the top, holding on to those two notes before, okay. We're going to go ahead and take the B and move it up. Now we have another inversion of G. Again, the same three notes, just in a different order. Let's go ahead and move that up one more time. Here we go. G, B, and D. Let's keep it going. G, B, and D. Moving it up again. G, B, and D. And then last one, G, B, and D. Okay, again, let's practice that exercise. So let's go. We're going to practice this exercise in tempo. So let's change about this. 1, change, change, change. And we'll change through our inversions at this tempo. Let's try it together. Starting on G major. Here we go. And G. Change, 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 and back down. Okay, and practice doing that. Now I'm using the pedal, and that's why the sound's still sustaining. But when you're practicing, I know some of the sound's going to cut off, so it's okay if it does that. The goal is, again, just working on that. The hand position changes, moving between inversions within one chord, okay? Now, we also kind of outlined seventh chords in the last one. I'm not going to go over too many of those with you, but the same exercise still applies. And the way that we apply inversions to seventh chords still applies to what we just did. So let's take our C major 7, C, E, G, and B for our major 7th, and we're just going to practice this inversion. So again, we're going to do the same thing, but now, because we have 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll have 4 different inversion types. Okay. C is on the bottom for the first one. Now E is going to be on the bottom, E, G, B, and adding C. Okay. Next inversion, holding the same notes down and just moving that bottom note to the top. Okay, I'm going to take G now and move it up to the top, holding on the same. Now I have my next inversion. And let me do that again. I'm going to spell them out so you can hear what I'm playing in order from bottom to the top. So here in root position, C, E, G, and B. Next inversion, E, G, B, and C. Next inversion, G, B, C, and E. And then last but not least, B, C, E, and G. And then if we went one more, it would be back in our root position. Now you'll practice this the exact same way that we practiced the first one, where we bounce up every single inversion. Okay? And I'm going to just give you an example, but this is something to really practice. We're going to keep going 2 octaves. Okay, and you can practice this again to help you understand and get the hand shapes for each inversion. Now, there's a lot of inversions. Imagine this. There's 12 notes. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's 12 minors. I'll start with major. 12 majors. There's 12 minors. Okay. There's 12 major 7s. There's 12 12 major 7s. There's 12 dominant 7s. There's 12 minor 7s. So there's a lot of inversions to practice. But that's kind of the fun of it. Practicing these 7s, you really expand what you're able to play in terms of the music that you want to play. You have to know these eventually anyways. So start practicing it with kind of an easier exercise, and then start incorporating these inversions into your own playing at home. Okay. Let's do just a random chord, and we're just gonna do let's do not 7th. We're just gonna do a major chord. Let's do minor. Let's do a B flat minor. Okay. Now, hopefully, again, you've seen the videos in the past. You know how to count it out, find out what minor is. I'm going to give it to you for now because our goal is just to practice inversions. So our B flat minor includes B flat, D flat, and F. And let's do this inversions. So we have B flat on the bottom, D flat and F. And so we're going to take B flat, move it up to the top. Now we have B flat up there. Same 3 notes, moving it up again, moving D flat to the top. Now we're moving F up. Okay? And again, when you practice this, practice moving up the inversions. Okay? And I'm holding the pedal down. I probably should do it without the pedal so you guys can hear the separation, because I'm actually lifting up my entire hand to play the next chord. Okay, and again, just go through them. And when you pick up a sheet of music, if a lot of songs within a key don't use too many of the chords, so practice those inversions for each of the chords, maybe in the song that you're working on. Okay. Now, what do we use inversions for? Inversions are used to keep our hands and our playing in kind of one little area. And it's very good for what we call voice leading. There's not a lot of change in register. Let me give you an example of what I mean by change in register. If I play a C chord and then I move to a G chord, listen to this. You can hear there's one that's low, and then all of a sudden it goes way high, right? What inversions allows us to do is not have that gap in register. I actually just did the same progression. I went from C chord to a G chord, but I used an inversion of my G chord. Okay? And so that's why we do this, so we don't have these huge jumps. Or let's say I was going from C to F. C to F, there's this huge jump in register because I have to literally move 5 notes down. With inversions, we don't have to do that anymore. Okay, so let's practice just a little progression, a couple of progressions using these inversions. So the first chord progression, and I'll have it up here for you, is just going to be kind of, these are actually really common chord progressions used in pop music. So yeah, I'm kind of helping you out here. You're going to learn a lot of different charts just by practicing these. They're going to be in different keys, so you have to modulate. But let's just practice this anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to practice the 4 chords: C, G, A minor, and F. Okay? C, G, A minor, and F. Okay, we're just going to practice, and we're going to keep it all in the key of C for now. If there's another key signature that you're interested in learning more about, especially with these inversions and chords, just leave it in the comments below, and I'll make a video about it, other keys, okay? Here we go. C chord, we're going to do C, G, A minor, F. So listen to what it would sound like without inversions. I have that change in register. Everything kind of moves up and then moves back down. Or I can even move down and there's a change in register going down, and then you'll hear it move, it moves back and it all resets. Okay, so let's now go over the inversions. Okay, and so now one of the simplest ways to think about your inversions is you want to try to find notes that are in common with each chord that you're playing. Okay, for example, C chord is C, E, and G. G chord is G, B, and D. So between C and our G chord, we actually have G, the note G, in common. So this is what we're going to use as kind of like a pivot note to move to an inversion of G. Okay, so here's our C chord. Okay, again, our notes for G major are G, B, and D. So we're going to hold on to G, and we're going to find B and D. So where are those? Well, I have a B here, and I have D here. Okay? So now I've just moved to a G chord and my hand didn't even leave the area. Or if I moved here, I have to move my whole hand. C, G major. And I didn't have to move anywhere. I kept everything right next to each other. No change in register. It's in the same exact part of the keyboard, right? Now, I'll kind of give you this kind of a tip for you when you're trying to figure out if there's notes in common. Chords that are right next to each other, for example, G and A, are not going to have any notes in common because they're based on those skips. Okay? So if we're taking G and we're moving to A minor, if you think G to A is up one, right? So we're just going to take the entire hand position that we just played for G major and move it up one. And if you actually want to do like the counting, you can find it. A minor has A, C, and E. Or again, because it's right next to each other, G to A is just one note up. So we're just going to take everything and slide it up one. A, C, and E. Okay. Now, common notes. A minor and F. A minor has A, C, and E. F has F, A, and C. Between these two chords, we actually have two notes in common. We have C and A in common between A minor and F. So we are on A minor, A, C, and E. Again, A and C are in common. All we have to do to move to F major is move that E to F. And all of a sudden, I have an F major chord. Okay, let's do that all one more time. Oh, let's actually move back to C. I just did it for you, but I want you to see this. Between F and C, we have one note in common, which is our C. So we're just going to hold on to that C, and we're just going to move the other notes back to our C major chord, C, E, and G. Okay? Notes in common between C and G is G, so we're going to hold on to G, move to G, B, and D. A minor, everything slides up one. And then A minor and F, A and C stay in common, and you move to F. Okay? Now, if you want to take this and write this out, I recommend it so you can see each chord and what's in common between them. Okay? Especially when we get into like weird key signatures, you want to know what's in common between all of them. So write everything down, especially if you're very new to it. Okay? A minor and F. Now, we just did this and we kept it all in the same register. What do we do with the left hand? We did inversions with the right. Does the left hand do anything different? And the answer is no. The answer is the left hand will still just play the note of the chord. So C, and then G, A minor most to A, and then F, and then back to C. And that's how inversions work. Inversions will apply to our right hand, especially if we're playing like pop music. Now, jazz players won't use this. I mean, the left hand does a lot of the comping while the right hand does melodic things. But if we're just doing kind of like pop music, what you listen to on the radio, a lot of what you'll hear, all the chords will be with the right hand, and the bass note will just be with the left hand. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and do another one. We're going to practice kind of a variation of this, except this time we're going to start with A minor. Okay? So let's start with A minor. Notice we're starting from a different A minor than we did when we did that previous chord progression. So everything's going to be in kind of this different inversion space. Because now we're starting A minor here, A, C, and E. So our chord progression for this is A minor, F, C, then G. Let's take a look at this. So, A minor, and we're going to start here, A, C, and E. Okay, if you remember back to what I said earlier, A minor and F have two notes in common, which is A and C. So all we need to do is move E to F. F, A, and C is our F major chord. A minor, F. Okay, now F to C. C is in common between those. So I'm going to move, instead of taking my whole hand and picking it up and moving to C there, what I'm going to do, F, A, and C, I'm going to hold that C in place and just find where the other two notes will fit, where I can leave my hand here. Notice I have E here, C, E, and I need the last note is G. Now I've moved to my C chord. F, F, A, and C, to C. C, E, and G. Let's do those three again. A minor, F, F, A, and C, C, E, and G for C major. And the reason I'm holding my hand like this, I don't want you guys to think that I'm just like have the worst technique ever. I just want you guys to be able to see it on the overhead camera a little bit easier what notes I'm playing. So don't use this hand position when you guys play. Actually have your hands open and use different fingers for these, okay? But I just want you to see those notes a little bit better, okay? Next chord, going from C major where we are now to G major. G major, again, having G in common with C. So we need G, B, and D, and look it. I'm right there for my G major chord. Let's go through those four chords again. A minor, F, C, G. And again, just because the inversions change with the right hand doesn't mean that the left hand does anything different. It just plays the note of the chord that you're playing. So A minor is our first one. A minor, so we're going to play A in the bass. F is next, and so we'll play F in the bass. C major is next, C and G. C with our left hand, and then G, G in the bass. Now, one of the things that you can do to kind of fill out the sound a little bit, I like to do is you can use octaves, and this might be a little bit tricky at the beginning because finding that reach often a lot of times is difficult for new players. For me, I know exactly what an octave feels like. My hand just kind of like I just play octaves. It just happens. But it might be a little bit uncomfortable at first, so just stick to one note. That's fine. But you can play octaves: F, C, G, and all of a sudden we have something that almost sounds recognizable, right? You put a little bit of a pulse to it. Okay, and you can take both of these progressions the way that we learned them. The first one, C, right? C, G, A minor, F, C, G, A minor, G, A minor, F. And all I've done is taken two different progressions and just used inversions with them. And again, if I did it without inversion, you'll hear the difference. All of a sudden you hear that change in register. Just now if I played it, you hear that change in register. And that's why we use inversions, and that's why inversions are so important to learn. Okay, now we just did these inversions with just major and minor chords. We didn't do any sevenths. I would recommend just trying to add sevenths to some of these chords, okay? Or, like, let's say, at home, try C major 7. Try going C, G, A minor, F, and then ending on a C major 7 chord. So let me give you an example of that. G, A minor, F major, C major 7. Doing something like that, just testing yourself on some of these chords. Now some of these seventh chords have to apply to the key, and if you don't understand that, that's fine. We're gonna do other videos where we do more inversions with 7 chords. But for now, I'd say just focus on just doing major and minor inversions. Practice them in several keys, and I'll keep doing applications like this of inversions. I'll probably go through a lot of the keys with this. So if you have anything in particular, any chord progression in particular that you're having concerns with or questions about, how I'd go about playing within that key with the inversions and stuff like that, just leave them again in the comments below, and we'll do a video about those. Okay. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification symbol, and give it a big thumbs up. That helps the videos be a little bit more discoverable by other people that maybe are in your same position that want to learn more about chords, okay? Yeah, I think that's it. So I'll see you guys next time.